Hello everyone, welcome to a new track guide. Today we are at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in Assetto Corsa Competizione in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo II. I will be showing you the track guide, how to master this track. It's a very technical track. In terms of setup, you need medium downforce and medium suspension. The downforce is pretty important. You want the car to oversteer in most of the corners. You want to use higher TC than normal. And what you want to do is brake really efficient. The braking on this track and the throttle on this track is pretty different compared to other tracks. In the first lap I'll be showing you my hot lap on board. In the second lap I will be showing from the outside, and I will be explaining why I do certain things, and in the end I will also take a look at the pit entry and the pit exit. So here we go. This is my hot lap. I drove a 34.6. There was still 3/10 in there, but it's good to get a reference lap in for everyone. So here we go, the start finish line. There we start our lap. Into the first corner we brake just before the 400. Use all the curb on the inside. Here on throttle made the car rotate. I went into the grass with one wheel, so it lost a bit of time. Here again, throttle to make the car rotate. Really hard corner is this. Two wheels into the grass. Here, trail braking into this one. It's kind of like a hairpin. Not a lot of traction. Here, 50% throttle, 100%. There we go. Really wide on exit. And we brake at the third ground strike board, 200 meters. A little bit later. Go into second gear, make the car rotate again. Don't use the sausages on the inside, use all the curb. Set yourself up for the third corner, right-hander. Really important one to get it right. Use all the exit curb. Now on the inside, also use a lot of curb. Don't use a lot of banking. Use a lot of exit curb here again. First gear to make the engine brake. Short shift into second. Good exit. Going a little bit too wide. That was my lap. So it all happened pretty quickly. Let's go in third person and let me explain everything. Here we go into third person. You can see we need a good exit at turn 14. Really hard corner to get it right. You can cut a lot on the inside, but you don't gain anything off that. There we go. Okay exit. Go a little bit wide to gain some more speed on the straight. Okay, so here we go. Go to the wall to get as much aerodynamic benefit hiding behind the wall. Now, to brake, where do you want to brake? So, with low fuel and low brake bias, you want to brake at the 400 meter board. And if you are in a race, you want to brake between the 400 and 500. I would say 430, 440. That's optimum. In the first lap, it depends how first lap goes, but usually also 420 most of the time. Braking here, normal braking. Stay as long as possible on the wall. Then at the 100 board, you want to turn. Go lift a little bit of the brake, a little bit of trail braking. Now this is an important corner to get it right. This sets you up for the remaining sector. So what you want to do is you want to go slightly under power. Don't go on the brake because the car will unsettle. Go like 5 or 10% on throttle progressively and let the car go. Use all the curb on the inside. I use it now with 2 wheels, but you can get all wheels. I do this because I have now a better line to turn 2. So here we go. What we want to do here is let the car rotate in itself, and for 1 second just only steering, no braking, no throttle. And then what we want to do is go a lot on power to make the rear rotate. With good traction control, you'll be able to manage it. Don't drift through the corner, just a power slide. So you can see it. You can see 50% power to make the car turn. Now 100. I clipped the inside on the grass a little bit, so that wasn't optimum. Try and stay on the curbs here as well. Go wide to brake. Now where do you brake? On the right you see the curb where it ends. That's about where you want to brake. Go down into second gear, just tap the brake, go full 100% and release it again. We do the same trick as we did in turn 2, and this is for most corners on this track. Try and rotate the car with the throttle. So we go really wide, don't clip the curb because the car will spin. Here again, no throttle, just a little bit of braking, and then full throttle, and the car will rotate. Now here, you can use the grass, you won't lose any time. So you can go a little bit early on the power of the last turn, but generally speaking in a race you just want to be on the curb. Coming into here, you want to be with 2 wheels inside the grass and with 2 wheels on the white line. The track limit is on the white line. If you cross it you get a track invalidation, so watch out for that. In the race I would suggest just only use the curb, don't go into the grass. But this is a hot lap, that's why I did it. Now here we don't have a braking board, but what we can see some tire marks on the ground. And this is default by game, so it isn't made by me or anyone else in the server. It was just there when I loaded the track in. Just before that, I would say 2-3 meters before it, I want to brake. And this is a essential corner. If you can get this right, you are a very good driver. It's a really hard corner to master. So what we want to do is we go wide and we want to brake as hard as possible and then trail brake into the corner. Watch my braking input. This is the most important bit. Full throttle, releasing the brakes a little bit, and then go on the power a little bit. You don't want to be sticking on the curb, you don't want to touch it. There's very low grip in this section, this part of the track, the 180 turn and now the right-hander 90 degrees turn. So you have to watch out. Now on throttle, what we want to do is play a little bit with the throttle, and when we feel like it, we just floor it. That's basically it. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So play a little bit, full. You see it? So you have to feel where the grip level is. This is a track where you really need to feel everything. Where do I brake now? I brake as the curb ends on the left hand side. I brake, just a tap on the brake, release it, go 50% throttle, and then when you go onto the apex you go full throttle. This allows the rear to rotate again, and this is really important on the track, so you can see it. 50% throttle, 100. Here, don't go into the grass, only use the white line on exit. If you go into the grass you lose time. Where I brake is generally speaking between the 100 and 200 board. I would say 175, so just after the CrowdStrike board. For me that is perfect. For some cars you can brake earlier, and for others you can even brake later. This is a hard turn. this one is really important to get right, because if you do this right, the next 3 turns will be good as well. So you will have a very good sector 2. Now what we want to do is there is a sausage on the inside, at least a really high curb. So what you want to do is to avoid that. You can tap it slightly, but don't go over it. Okay, so here we go, we brake, we go wide, we use all the track, and now we can see the sausage on the left hand side. We don't want to touch that. We just want to avoid it. That's exactly what we do. Stay in second gear. If you go into first gear, you will lose a lot of time on the exit because the traction control kicks in. But now, go wide, do the same trick with the throttle again, go full throttle as soon as possible. Here we go. These are the hardest corners on the track. What you want to do is go completely on the curb with your car, but don't go over the sausages on the inside in the sand or in the grass. So you can see it here. We use all the curb here, all the curb here. And what's the most important thing to know about these 2 corners? You want to get this right in order to get the next one right. This may sound a little bit weird, but the next corner is the most important corner of all of them. Of all the 4 corners we just did, you know, the 90 degrees left, and then fully on the curb on the right, and then full on the curb now on the left. You want to set your car up as good as possible for the next corner, because the next corner is crucial for your lap time. Go as much as possible to the left side, tap a little bit on the brakes, shift down a gear to get the car rotating even more. You don't have to, but it works sometimes. This corner, try to cut it as much as possible, and before you're at the apex, go full throttle. You can cut absolutely everything. You can cut so much, and this is really important to get the straight right as well. The next corner right. It's a really hard corner to master, and you need to practice where the track limit is. But once you know that, you can attack the lap times. It is a really hard corner, but just keep in mind, go from wide to the apex and go full throttle. You can cut a lot. So here we go, full throttle. Again, I rotate the car with the throttle. That's the fastest way to do it in V1.9. Now coming into here, we want to brake at 330-ish. 330, 340. We can't brake at the 300 mark sadly, but in the car you can see it. So brake just before that. Stay as close to the wall as possible. Don't use a lot of banking coming up here. We just brake just before the 300 volt. Now it's the same with the 90 degrees left one. It's now 19 degrees to the right. And what we want to do is, again, don't go over it. Just touch it slightly, and optimally you want to avoid it. And you want to use a lot of exit curb, because that is the fastest way to do it. So avoid it, go on throttle, use a lot of curb. Don't use everything. You want to use half of the curb on the exit, because if you use all of it, there's a big chance you're going into the grass. If not, you just lose time, because now you need to go to the right hand side again. There you go. Brake, go into first gear to make the car rotate even more. Short shift into second, and here full throttle already. Use all the exit curb. This is all full throttle. Don't use a lot of banking. This is too much. And yeah, that is basically the most important thing. So to summarize the track, what you want to do is go on power really early to rotate the car. Avoid the high curbs. keep it smooth, know where the track limits are, and that's basically how to master Indianapolis. Now we go into the pit entry or the pit exit. Where do you release it? Because here you can see we have two lines. You want to release it at the first one. The second one, I don't know why it is there, but the first one we release it, go to the outside immediately on the left hand side, brake when on the right the white border ends, the white barrier ends. That's where we want to brake. Into second, cut everything, and there you go, and you're on your lap again. Now for the pit entry, it's really hard to do it. There are several ways to do it. I missed it completely a lot of times. I didn't know where the pit entry was, but at turn 14, so the last corner before the straight, you want to brake a little bit later than usual, slide it into it, then go full throttle, brake a little bit here, throttle, and brake again, pit limiter, and there you go. So it's a hard track in general with the technique you need to drive. It's a hard track for the pit entry. It's a very technical and hard track, and you need to perfectionize it. So I hope that this track guide helped you with it. If there's any question about this track or in general, please comment down below, and see you in the next track guide.